My name is Ismail. Right. Hello, everyone, and I wish to welcome you all to this our first session on our course, Building Community Power to Fight Injustice. So I will guide us through on how to select languages for the program. So if you are using a laptop or computer, if you look at the bottom at the bottom of your laptop, you will see that there is an interpretation icon, that is the globe icon. Please click on it. Once you click on it, it will display the option of which language to select. So once you click on it on any language, on any of your preferred language, it will automatically take you to that language. And if you are using phone, you can see there will be some three dots. For some phones it will be at the bottom, while others will be at the top. So click on those three dots as indicated on the screen. Click on that, interpretation option will also show up. So once you click on it, it will also display the languages that you can select from. So once you select that, it will automatically take you to to the preferred language. And also, please, while speaking, please make sure you speak slowly so that the interpreters can be able to get whatever you are sharing with the team. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful deliberations here. And Amy, over to you.
Merci beaucoup, Ismail.
Thank you very much, Ismail. I am really happy to be here and to welcome you to this new webinar. I am Emi Ongeso, and I work with the Grassroots Justice Network. I am based in Nairobi in Kenya, and I will share my screen so that I can share some information. We are very lucky because it was the first time that we are organizing a course with these characteristics, and we are expecting around 100 people. I am sure that we will keep the same energy and have a very good work together. The Grassroots Justice Network is working on several themes of justice, such as land justice, climate justice, citizenship, and people's justice. But even if we are working on several thematics, we do have the same approach, which is the legal autonomy. It means that we are working on strategy that do use the law to help the communities based on the law to promote justice, and we try to help the communities to get to know and to shape the law and their actions. As a network, we are guided by three principles. The first one is the reinforcement of our community, to allow community to fight for their rights and use them, and also take part in decisions. The legal autonomy also is important to reach sustainable justice. And also we are working through the principle of solidarity. As a network, we are trying to reinforce our actions to inspire ourselves and to protect ourselves. So I do invite you to get united to this network in Africa, because you will find in this network a lot of material and tools to work on actions and initiatives based on legal autonomy. We try with Kichota Chelia, based in Nairobi, that works also in Swahili area, and we are gathering some organization to work on common initiatives. We also have some initiatives. One of them is based in the north of Nigeria and is doing the same work. We also working in the center of Africa, in Western Africa, and we do have some youth association. One is based in Chad and is working against the violence between other themes. I will now give the floor to the Dr. Annette, who is director of Ketut Sharia. She will introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Annette Mbogo. I hope you can hear me. I work in Kituo cha Sheria. That's a legal empowerment organization based in Nairobi, Kenya. And we serve as the regional anchor for East and Horn of Africa for the Grassroots Justice Network. So the Grassroots Justice Network in East and Horn of Africa brings together members of the network that are based in East Horn and also Southern Africa to look into legal empowerment issues. And we focus on community building. We also look at how we can advocate for rights for community paralegals and also increasing financing for paralegals. And finally, we're also looking how we can enhance learning across the region and sharing lessons across the region. So since we began convening, we've had quite a number of positive engagements that have brought together network members. Some of this engagement have led to us submitting statements to the African Commission on Human and People's Rights and also to the NGO Forum that is a precursor of the ordinary sessions to the African Commission sessions. We have also done a lot of learning and research around digitization of justice, also looking at how we can enhance community-based paralegal work and especially financing for community-based paralegals, and how African governments can also recognize community-based paralegals through their legislation, and generally just how can we measure impact through our legal empowerment programs and also enhance sustainability. To join us, if you are working within the East and the Horn of Africa region, please feel free to join us first by being a member of the network, and we can definitely rope you in our conversations and also in our activities. And we're happy that we're also having some of our colleagues who are on this call. So thank you very much for this opportunity to share what the members of the Eastern Horn of Africa are doing. I hand over to Amina.
Merci beaucoup, Dr. Annette.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I will invite now Amina to say some words. Amina?
Hello, everyone. So my name is Amina Hanga, and I'm the Executive Secretary for Isawali Empowerment Initiative. We're based here in Kano, Nigeria, northern part of the country. We are also the regional anchor of the Grassroots Justice Network, West and Central Africa. So I'll just briefly talk about how we came into being. And it all started in 2019 with the first National Paralegal Summit that we held in Abuja in partnership with the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria and in collaboration with Justice Empowerment Initiative and Namati. And it was during this 2-day summit that we started having a conversation around how can we continue to build on what we're doing. There's so many other organizations in West Africa that were doing similar work. So how can we come together? And this gave rise to us holding the first inaugural West Africa Summit in 2020. And that was the year of COVID. So it was a virtual event, and it was attended by many organizations across West Africa, including government officials. And one of the key outcomes of that, it was actually about bringing us together to share our experiences and also for solidarity. And one of the key points that came out was that we should continue to hold virtual learning sessions that brings everybody together, that we can learn what we are all doing. In 2021, we held a series of virtual learning sessions that were attended by organizations from West Africa, both Anglophone and Francophone speaking countries. 2022, with the relaxation of the COVID rules, we had an in-person convening that was hosted by Justice Empowerment Initiatives in Lagos. And it brought together 50 persons from 15 organizations across West Africa. And during that convening, we talked about our learnings, our experiences, the challenges that we were facing. And at the end of it all, a communique was developed, which organizations, given their commitments as to what they were going to do. And it also established, during this event, we also established the West Africa Legal Empowerment Network with some core group members. Now, at this stage, we had decided that we must involve our community-based paralegals must be seen to be at the center of what we do and the communities that we work with. And so this is how WALEN came into being. The following year, we held a series of online learning virtual events, and then an in-person event that was held here in Kano on building community power to fight injustices. And that is how we all came together from different West African countries and including Central Africa, organizations from Central Africa. Now, at this point in time, we also now, towards the end of the year, we changed the name from West Africa Legal Empowerment to become the Grassroots Justice Network, West Africa. And this year, we merged with the Central Africa organizations from Central Africa to become the Grassroots Justice Network, West and Central Africa. We also developed a newsletter this year, which was shared out, and I know that we'll be sharing the link to that newsletter at some point in the chat for those who have not seen it. And I will hand over to Charbonnel to speak about what they've been doing in the Central Africa region. Thank you. So Charbonnel, over to you.
Okay, merci beaucoup pour m'avoir donné la
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. Since our last meeting in Ghana, in Nigeria, last year, in Central Africa, in Chad, concretely, and Congo-Brazzaville, and also in Congo and Kinshasa, we saw the necessity to gather and constitute a network for justice access between our countries in Central Africa. So we created some WhatsApp groups with our Congo colleagues, and we also drafted a memorandum of understanding for all the organization of Central Africa that had participated in the Kano meeting. So it will be limited to these organizations so that they can create a network for justice access. So we do have a draft for this memorandum of understanding that we'll be submitting to our colleagues of Congo, Kinshasa and Congo Brazzaville. It will be the official launching of our network in Central Africa for a better access to justice and the fight against injustice. So I think my colleague from Congo, Yoka, might have something to add about what we discussed. So I will give him the floor if you want to add anything. Thank you very much, Charbonnel.
Yoka, si tu parles, il y a un problème avec le micro, je pense.
Yoka, you might have a problem with your microphone. Right. Can I speak now? Can you hear me? Right. I would like to thank you, all the colleagues that have spoken, and I'm very happy for all these successes and progresses. The network is well underway now and is doing a lot of efforts. So with my colleague Charbonnel, we have gathered an interesting experience. And when we went back from Chad, we had this idea of drafting a memorandum of understanding so that to create a network. And the idea is to go to a better justice and to fight harder against injustice in our region, since it was a very good experience and we had this fruitful exchange, as Charbonnel mentioned. We are very happy to have thought about this idea of creating a network because we want to go on working to progress in the field of justice for the people. Thank you very much.
I also wanted to remind you that we are on a constant basis every week working in the high school. I think he mentioned high school, but there is quite a lot of noise in the background. We are constantly in collaboration with Danny and Mr. Charbonnel. So, and we exchange very regularly with them so that we can benefit from the good ideas from each party. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Oka. I would like to take advantage of Mr. Yoka's intervention. I am in the Congo, in Pointe-Noire, and I'm Mr. Kibangu, and I'm really happy to be here with you today. I think I will share my email with you so that we can keep in touch. Thank you very much. I just wanted to take advantage of Mr. Yoka's intervention. I now pass the floor to, I think, Fatima from the Burkina Faso. Do you want to take the floor? Hello to everybody. Can you hear me properly? Yes? Good. Really happy to be with everybody today. Again, it's a real pleasure. We hope that we'll be able to take a good advantage to this exchange in this initiative. Here, I am in Burkina Faso, and I work for the Association of the Lausanne people. We start at the very dawn of the day because it's easier for us, then we can break with the darkness of the night and then do many things during the day without fearing the darkness. That's why we wake up so early. Then we go to the chat. I think we could then present ourselves, present the organization, and tell us at the moment what are their favorite time of the day.
Maintenant, je vais partager mon écran afin qu'on
I
continue
will
avec le
pass the floor now to,
Donne-moi une seconde.
or just a few seconds. I'm going to share my screen now so that I can share the PowerPoint with you all.
J'invite
I
notre
invite Mr.
à
Annette
partager avec nous cette citation et
to share with us this situation and continue with the agenda of the day.
Okay, thanks, Amy. I'll read the quote by Blaise Pascal. I'll only read the English part of it. Forgive me, my French is not very good. So the quote says, justice and power must be brought together so that whatever is just may be powerful and whatever is powerful may be just. So just to put this quote into context, as you all know, we are here to learn how we can build community power, and all of us are justice defenders. And as the quote by Pascal says, justice and power should actually be brought together. And so what we want to do is to see how we can build community-centered power so that this community-centered power can also be consolidated with the justice work that we are doing. And also, as Pascal says, whatever is powerful should be just, and whatever is just should be powerful. Because you can imagine if we had those people who are in power and not people who are committed towards justice, that would have really serious repercussions for all of us. And also, if what is just becomes powerful, then we are sure that then there will be transformation. And I'm sure all of us here are committed towards bringing transformation within their communities. So the course really is aimed at that. How do we build our community power, and this community power then being used to fight injustices that all of us encounter within our respective countries. So I hand over the meeting back to Amy.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Pourquoi ce cours?
Okay, why have we started this course? We want to build the community power is not a new concept. We are shared, we are in the field and we work on the field and we use different strategies.
Nous avons également identifié nos points
we have also identified what we need to strengthen, documenting the challenges and the successes to inform a better programming. Also community-led advocacy and participatory action research. But at the same time, we are confronted with a certain series of challenges. The community is active, for example, but the government and local authorities are not responsive. The community understands what the issues are, but they do not unite to address the issues. The communities believe that the NGOs have money and will only participate in activities if there is funding. Very often it's difficult to maintain community engagement over the long term. Now I pass the floor to somebody else who is Modem?
Thank you. Hey
Morgan,
everyone.
yes.
My name is Morgan. I work at Numity, where I'm a colleague of Amy and Sylvester, who you've all seen messages from. What a list of challenges to building community power that Amy just showed us. There's challenges on the side of communities, how we bring them together and empower them, and challenges on the side of people who hold power, how we hold them accountable, how we make them listen, how we make them act as communities want them to. We also asked participants, everybody here, we asked y'all where you feel strongest and where you think your organization, your project, your allies need to get stronger to build power. And you see on the screen a few of the top answers. Involving communities in solving legal problems, the big one. Making sure it's driven by them. Training and development of each of us. Many of us are paralegals or other people who are on the front line organizing. Many of us train or work with paralegals. Building those skills, that's something we're going to do here as well. And then lastly, participatory monitoring of how work is going and deciding, are we on our path to winning? Are we building our power? Those are the key questions, and we can't, and each of us on this call, we can't answer them alone. We answer them along with the people facing injustice that we work with every day. That's why we're having this course. You see it on the screen on the next slide. There's some ideas there about why we're having this course focused on power. But those are the two big things. There's things we want to get better at. And we've already heard, how many countries have we heard from already? We've heard from allies in Kenya, Burkina Faso, Congo, Nigeria. We've already heard from each other. Each of these people that we've already heard from has experience and perspectives on how to build power. And every person on this call who we haven't heard from yet is the same. Every person on this call, each will be a learner and each will be a teacher over the next few weeks as we work together. I'm very excited to hear from everyone. And I'll pass it back.
Maintenant, c'est Ismaël pour
So
vous aider à partager
we would like to share now with you, what are your expectations? Yes, I will pass. Ismaël, did you want to take the floor for that question?
Yes, thank you, Amy and
Oui.
Morgan. On that. Please, we would like to now hear from you. Now that we have heard from Morgan and Amy, what we intend to get from the course. So we would like to get from you, what are your expectations from this course? This in the next 5 weeks we are going to be together. What are going to be your own expectations? Please, we would like you to share with us. You can as well drop in the chat box or raise your hand and maybe speak up. Okay, I think I see, okay. Yeah. So anybody wants to go first or?
Maintenant, on va partager nos attentes pour le cours. Et
Okay, so we will share our expectations in the chat. in order to understand your expectations, and so that you're right, so that we follow the same path.
Bonjour. Ismail.
Yes, yes.
Ismael?
Ismail.
I can hear you. I can
Yes.
hear you.
Yes, can I just to make a comment? I'm trying to write on the chat, but I think my system is not working. But my expectation is to be part of a stronger global continental network of justice defenders that can respond to some of the critical issues that the continent is facing in terms of administration of justice. So I've just made it verbally because I'm trying to write even my name on the chat, but my system will refuse to respond. Thank you so much.
That's fine. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for that. Okay, so we have somebody here.
Okay, I can go.
Somebody is speaking. I think we have some messages in the group.
Hi everyone.
Good evening. How are
Go ahead, please.
Okay, my name is Michael Edward from Kenya. I'm also happy to be part of this conversation. I can see from the presentation of the last speakers, it's a very powerful movement, a movement that is meant to bring the continental actors together in one basket, that we can be able to have a strong voice and a push from various government institutions to ensure that access to justice is not a negotiable thing, but it's a right that each and every person, as long as you are an African within the African continent, it is a right that you have to get. So going forward, I think it's a very important cause. I appreciate and applaud the thinkers behind this process. And I'm very happy to be here for the next 5 weeks. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Michael, for sharing that. I have a message here from Collins Mumba from Gender Justice. It says, my expectations are to enhance my knowledge on human rights depending in administration of justice. We have this, okay, and Morgan is in agreement with the last person who spoke. And Charles Dia, looking forward to meeting new people and learning new approaches to community mobilization and engagement. Then maybe I will read the last one here. Mirembe Deborah, my expectation is to learn through experience sharing of the different mechanisms and interventions of building a stronger community or network for justice. Thank you.
Yeah, I can also.
Amy, if you can.
Yeah, Susan from.
I see a lot of hands up.
Can I go first? Hello, can I go first?
Okay, let's take just two, and others, please, if you can just drop in the chat box. We'll take only two of you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my name is Susan Kanyoko from Kenya. My expectation is the involvement of persons with disability in climate justice, as the effects of climate change are vast and severe and can lead to disability. How much can we involve persons with disability in the climate change, in the climate justice? Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you. So, Famata, if you can go next, you'll be the last. Others can please drop your expectation in the chat box so that we can be on time as well. Famata?
Yeah, hi everyone.
Hi.
It's good to be back. For those of you and Israel, everyone. I would like my colleague here to talk to Mr. Wallo, Roxy Wallo, tell you his expectation with your topic here. So, Mr. Wallo, you can just come in.
Okay, hello to everyone. If you know, I'm from Liberia. I'm ex-Roxy Wallo. And of course, I am here today representing the Citizen Bureau and Accountability Lab. My expectation
Buba, I think we lost you. If you can please write in the chat box, please. Amy, if you can help us with some of the French expectations, please, Amy. Amy?
Merci beaucoup, Ishmael. Merci beaucoup, Ishmael.
Thank you very much, Ismail. I think we can close now the expectations. I think some very interesting things have been mentioned.
Nous attendons comme les organisateurs, des organisatrices de secours.
So that also that the organizations and the organizers can actually implement some fundamental changes. And it's as the sentence says on the slide, it requires a certain dimension of madness. In this case, it comes from the anti-conformism, courage, and also the courage to give your back on the old formulas. Courage also to invent for the future. Alors, excusez-moi, il y a beaucoup d'interruptions et des micros encore allumés.
Alors, j'invite Madame Amina.
Alors, I will invite Miss, excuse me, I have lost the connection with Amy. I can't hear her.
You said Amina.
Yasmina? Yes, Amina, can you take the floor?
Yes. Okay, thank you. So there was a slide before this about what our vision is for this course, and I'd like to just quickly take us what I would like to see us happen is that participants actively engage and share their experiences and their ideas and learning how to work together to fight for what's right, to fight injustices. That's what we're aiming for. We want you at the end of this course to walk away with a deeper understanding of community power and to have the skills to become change makers in your communities. Because by joining forces, we can tackle injustices and create a more just future for everyone. So I'll read this quote by Thomas Sankara. I actually have it printed off because I find the print a little bit too small. Think outside the box. We need to, because when we're building community power, it's about often challenging so we need to think different. Together we can achieve the impossible. I'll hand over to Esther. Esther from Kitui Chair Sharia.
Thank you so much, Amina. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining this course. So throughout this course, we will conduct sessions in 2 languages, Anglophone and Francophone. So we kindly ask for your patience as we navigate between these languages to ensure inclusivity and understanding for all participants. To facilitate our communication and interactions, we will be using WhatsApp and Zoom platforms. Active learning is a cornerstone of this course, and each participant will have an assigned role to encourage engagement and collaborations. Following each sessions, we encourage you to reflect on the materials covered, put your learning into practice, and share your experiences with colleagues. At the conclusion of the course, each participant will develop an idea informed by the course content. These ideas will undergo a voting process with the top 12. This includes 6 Francophone and 6 Anglophone, earning the privilege to attend an in-person learning exchange in Kigali, Rwanda. And organizations associated with the best ideas from the in-person exchange will receive a small grant. And this grant will aim to provide further support for the development and implementation of the innovative community project stemming from the course. These are the brief rules for this course. Therefore, I'm going to hand it over to Amy.
Morgan, c'est à toi.
Hey everybody, Morgan again. That's exciting. Lots of big ideas we hope to come from this. The expectations that we saw in the chat and that people voiced are big. They're ambitious. That's exciting. I have a question here on the screen for you. We're here to talk about community power, how we build it, what it can do for us, how each of us are doing it in each of our contexts. But the big question here is, what is power? Please, in the chat, give us your definition of what that looks like. What are we trying to build? I'll give you a minute to put that in the chat. But think about it. Governments have power, we know that. The rich have power, we know that. But also each of us does too. We know that too. So how do we define that? Power, I see a good one in the chat here. Power is the ability to influence things. Thank you, Andrew. That's a big, broad version of it. Ability to influence, yeah. I like this. I'm going to share, keep putting those in there. I'm going to share one definition I've seen from a man many of you will know, an African-American, Martin Luther King Jr., well known for his organizing for rights in America. He defined power in a very similar way as you did, Andrew. And a few others, as I'm seeing, very similar to some of these. Ruth, ability, yeah. Martin Luther King defined it in a very similar way. He said, it's the ability to achieve purpose. Power is the ability to achieve purpose. Our French friends on the call can speak to this even better because their word for power, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the word for power in French is the same as the verb to be able to. In Spanish, it is the same. Poder means power. Tengo poder, I have power. And it also means to be able to. It's to have capacity to achieve your purpose, or to have that influence that people are pointing out here. I like that: capacity, influence, purpose. Very good answers. So power is just capacity. But another thing Martin Luther King said about power is that whether it is good or bad depends on the purpose. So the big question is, what do we do with that power? And here we are talking about building the power of communities to achieve grassroots justice. We heard that in the expectations that folks shared. We heard that in the actions of the network, the Grassroots Justice Network in the Congo and Burkina Faso. We heard what people are working towards, the purpose that they're working towards. One more thing to mention is that power doesn't come from nothing. It doesn't just appear from the air, and it doesn't belong to just one group. But everything around us comes from power, including the law. The law does not reflect some natural order of the world necessarily. It was shaped by people with power. So it's up to us to build our power to shape it in a more just way. So we have a couple quick examples to see what that looks like in practice. I'll hand it back to Amy to go through one example.
Non, vas-y, Morgan, en fait, c'est OK. Vas-y, c'est à toi.
Oh, no, that is fine. You can go on. I think you said it everything.
Oh, okay. One other note here. We've heard from everyone here about their work, their expectations. So many people's expectations were about being able to fight better for the issues that they work on. You can see on the screen here a breakdown of different issues that everyone on this call works on. And power is at the center of each of those. Power is at the center of who has rights to housing and who is able to exercise those rights. It's at the center of climate justice. When a colleague on this call, I think it was Susan, said she's working towards empowering people with disabilities to fight for climate justice. People who are disempowered in that fight, she's working to build their power in that fight. At the core of each of these things. So the last thing to say, as I said before, is that the law is shaped by those empowered to serve their interests. They determine how it's written and how it's implemented, not just on paper, but what it looks like in real life, unless we do something about it. So that's what each of us works on. That's what we're trying to get better at. Throughout this course, we'll see the tactics and strategies for building the power of communities to have more say in that. Now I'll pass it to you, Amy.
Merci, Morgan. Ouais, merci, Morgan.
Thank you, Morgan.
OK, je vais partager
Right. So I will now share with you an example that will help us to better understand how we can analyze the notion of power. So it is a multinational company that dumps chemical waste in a well used by villagers, and it's led to an increase in the number of cancer cases in the region. So as a justice actor, we will try to think carefully about how power shows up in this injustice. So we will have a triangle that will be up, in the up-down direction. It means that even if we know well an institution, it is always backed up by something, somebody.
Comme acteur bien ou comme
It cannot stand on its own. As a company, the first thing is to try to identify institutions that are trying to weaken or disrupt the power. It can be the local chiefs, it can be the private sector, the policy sector, the police, or the legal sector. There can be many, many other examples. And to analyze each institution, we will try to see which one of them is the strongest. Maybe it is the legal one or the politician one. It will depend on the contexts. And it will depend on the capacity to try to act. Then we can draft some strategies to weaken or to disrupt the institutional pillars through strategies from the basis. And we can see that the community is backing the society. Of course, we can't show all the pillars because you all have your context and everything must be adapted to your context. But power can be reinforced to be used so as to weaken the institutional power. Community power and institutional power, it means power challenging power. And in the core of the community, we must try to be united and use the law through several common grounds such as ethnicity, fear, poverty, patriarchy, apathy, ignorance. These are all elements that must disappear so as to have a better union and a better common ground for the people. Solidarity must be an important element for the community because it will help change. I do hope that it is clear for you how to analyze power. And during the next session, we will see some other example of the community power reinforcement through specific strategies so as to weaken the pillars that are backing up injustice. We do have to suppress those pillars through a good use of the law, and we must disrupt the institutional power. We can work in several and different contexts, such as the justice, as Amina will tell us right now. Amina, the floor is yours. Amina, the floor is yours.
Hello? Est-ce que Ishmael est là ou Amina?
Ishmael or Amina, are you here? Can you hear me?
Yes, I am. Yes, I can hear you. Hi, I can hear you. So we'll be talking about gender and how this creates how women are oppressed just because of their gender. And it creates a lot of, it results in them either systemic or institutionalized discrimination. And some of what we see is gender-based violence, limited access to opportunities like education or access to economic opportunities. These are all some of the things, and it's by people. And there are different, we have pillars that contribute to this. There are different pillars that support the oppression of women. Next slide, please. The next slide. Yeah, thank you. So as we can see from this triangle, there are different things that contribute to women being oppressed. And it depends, the oppression also depends on where the women live, where they come from. So it's totally different for those living in, let's say, the Western part of the world compared to living for us here in this part of the world. And again, it's different depending on urban or if they're in rural communities. So we can see that one of the things that results in the oppression of women is tradition, it's patriarchy. Patriarchy, and we've already heard about power. So patriarchy places men in a position of power, and they can decide what women can have access to, what women cannot have access to. And this patriarchy starts right from within the family. Within the family, the father or who's the head of the household can decide which of his children will go to school. More emphasis may be placed on, let's say, the boy child, compared as against the girl. And this could be as a result of different things. Maybe they don't realize that education is important. They feel the girl is going to get married and leave home, and the boy, he brings in a wife, so he's within the family. And yet what we see all the time, I'm talking from my context, is that women actually are the ones who continue to support their parents. The woman is always looking out to what's happening at home, the concern, the care. And if no matter how small what she has, she will share it with the family. Whereas the man goes away, he's trying to fend for his family, and so he doesn't really have that time. So this is some of so the patriarchy. Also, cultural norms and tradition play a great role in women being oppressed. And like I said, it could result in female genital mutilation. I'm sure we've all heard about what's happening in the Gambia. From one minute they were saying they had stopped but they had banned it, and now they've gone back and have said that it can be done. So, and these affect women's lives, their health, their well-being, their everything that would affect a woman. Child marriage limits their opportunities to education, because we see a lot of girls, when they get married, they're married off while they're still children, that the husbands don't let them continue their education. They're now dependent on their husbands for their economic livelihood, and that depends on what he gives them. So all of this creates huge problems, affects their children's well-being and their health as well, apart from theirs. They have limited mobility. You find men, when they marry the girl, they will tell her they don't want her to leave the family home, to leave home without his permission, even to visit her parents. The links with her friends are cut off. They don't have access to owning land. So we can see that oppression works in so many ways. And when we look at it from the legal perspective, again, either they didn't have an education, they don't know what their rights are. There's a lot of ignorance, so they don't even know how to access justice. And then even the laws themselves or the policies that are in place can sometimes oppress women. Here, for instance, in Kano, we can see we have the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Bill that is yet to be passed into law. And this really would help women and girls, because the law is so rich. It has a lot of, it's not only is it a law, but it also has the compensations. It has what can be done if a woman experiences any gender-based violence or anything for that matter. So economic dependence, on the men. And lack of representation and voice is another area that women, we don't see representation. Like here in Kano, in the House of Assembly, we find that the whole House of Assembly is male. There's not one female representing them. So we can see that there's a lot of oppression that goes on socially, politically, economically, in so many different ways. So I'll hand over to Annette. Thank you.
Thanks, Amina, for that session on gender and power. So we've got to the point where we'd like us to break into our group discussions. I think you all know your respective groups. We have 10 groups, and within the groups, we'd like you to discuss a few questions and share your experiences using the pillars of power that have been shared by Amy and Amina, as well as by Morgan. So the questions that we'd like you to discuss, they're also in the chat box, but we'd like you to share specific injustice that you are working on. And then what are the pillars that means the institutions and individuals that are supporting this injustice? So identify those. And then which pillar is the most critical in supporting that form of injustice? And what are the community enablers that support this injustice? And which enabler is the most critical in supporting the injustice? So for this session of group discussions, we have 30 minutes. We'll have within the groups one of the team members from the planning of this session who will be recording the discussions. But please feel free to share your experiences within the groups on those respective questions that we have shared also in the chat box. After that, we'll come back into the main room to summarize the lessons for the day.
Thank you very much, Dr. Annette. So for the group discussions, I'm going to open the breakout groups now. Now you have the opportunity to select your group. So the groups that you are in on WhatsApp is the same group you are using. So once I open the rooms, you just check the name and then just select, and then it will automatically take you into your breakout rooms. And that, thank you very much. So I'm opening the rooms now.
Okay, I think everyone is back in the room. Sorry about that. Today is our first session. So I think next time we'll find a way on how to work the breakout groups a bit better. I'm to run through the questions that we shared in the chat box. And so I'd just like to summarize the key lessons of the day and what we've been able to cover today. So first, we have discussed and we've been able to understand how power manifests in the injustices that you may be fighting within your communities. We've also been able to identify the pillars that support the injustice you're fighting, and how to analyze the enablers in the community that support your injustice. And by doing so, then how you'd work towards building power. We've also been able to look at the foundation of these pillars that may be underlying the injustices that your communities may be facing. So I think with those few remarks in terms of the summary, I'd wish to hand over to Ismail for the question and answer session. Ismail, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Annette, and thank you everyone for your time. So this leads us to the time where we would like to hear from you. If you have any questions, please, you have any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. For me, it's not a question, but just a comment. I'll speak for myself. I think I delayed to join the meeting. I had a network or connectivity challenges. I could have I missed some of the earlier part because I joined at the time when we are introducing the topic on power, and so I could have actually missed the others. So if since today's session was recorded, I would request if the recording could be shared so that I can be abreast with the earlier moments of the day that I missed. Thank you.
Yeah, I also want to say that I have a request. My articulation is a little bit slow, so if I would get the slides, if possible. Also, I'm also speaking for myself. I'll really appreciate. Thank you.
Hello.
Okay. Can we have the last person, please?
Yeah, Ismail. So I would
Yes,
like
go
to say,
on, Famata.
yeah, thank you for today's session, but I think the session was a bit fast. So maybe we could allot a little more time and then share the recording like everyone is requesting so we can get, because I got into my own, group very late. I did not understand anything from the group session and I couldn't contribute because of time. So I would like you to please work on that so the next session we'll have time to, sufficient time to get in group on, in our various groups on time and be able to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Famata, for that. So, yeah, you can always share your questions in the group and in your various groups, because we all are added to one or other group. So please, you can share all other questions. If you have any other questions, you can share in the groups. We will take a look at them and respond appropriately. So, and now I would like to hand over to, is it Amy? To hand over to Amy.
C'est Morgan en fait qui finit.
Ok, merci beaucoup.
Oh, pardon, pardon, c'est Morgan, c'est Morgan.
Think I'm muted. No, I'm there. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for those comments. Agree. We had to rush through the breakout groups, and that's the most important part where we can speak to each other. So in the future sessions, we'll make sure to carve out enough time for that. Make sure everybody can get to their groups quickly. So a couple things to reflect on before next time. First, those pillars of power, the institutions and community enablers that hold up that triangle. We heard a couple of folks in our breakout group. It was great. It was really cool to hear people break down the issues that they work on and where the power sits. So next time we can start to attack that and build our own. If you didn't get a chance to think through those pillars, to analyze your own injustice, try that out. Figure out, if you didn't get a chance to talk through it in your small group, make sure you think it through it on your own. We are each in WhatsApp groups. We can continue the conversations there. The WhatsApp groups are the same as your breakout group. And then one other thing, just the orientation to thinking in terms of how we build our own power to confront those big powers, the power that lies at the heart of each injustice and at the heart of each movement for justice that we're doing. That's an important idea to think about going forward and share with your other colleagues. We will we'll be back here next week and we'll get to keep going. Amy, any last words to close us out?
Thank you very much, Morgan. Amy, should I proceed?
Je n'ai rien à ajouter. Merci.
Nothing to add, really. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Morgan, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I would kindly say that we will meet next week, but please, when you are joining, kindly do well to name your device in your own name so that it would help us to assign you to the breakout rooms. Today we had some few hitches, but we are going to see how we can technically resolve those ones. But please try and name your when you enter the meeting, use your name as an identity so that you don't use iPhone or Infinix and then it becomes difficult for us to put you in the breakout rooms. So thank you very much. Today has been very interesting. Same time, same place next week. See you, and then it's bye-bye. I think we'll take a group picture. Take a group picture. So if you can all put on your camera. Please let me defer to you the picture. I don't know, my mouse has frozen. So please take the picture for me. Please put on your cameras if you can hear us and give us a smile. Why is my mouse frozen?
Il faut prendre les photos 4 fois. 4 fois. Il faut prendre les photos 4 fois.
You have to do the picture 4 times. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
J'ai déjà
Au
pris les
revoir.
photos.
À la prochaine session.
J'ai déjà pris les photos.
Bonjour, Amy.
Merci bien. À la prochaine.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, bye.
Au revoir.